Mike King, Davey Hamilton, the entire IndyCar radio crew with you on a warm, muggy October afternoon at Reliant Park in Houston. IndyCar's racing in the nation's fourth largest city for the first time since 2007. Attempt number 2 at the standing start for the first race here at the Shell and Pennzoil Grand Prix of Houston as we await the green light. We are underway. Takuma Sato on pole. He'll win the race to turn number 1. One car stopped, and it is Ed Carpenter who has made contact with the car that is stalled on the front straight. Ed Carpenter making contact with James Hinchcliffe, who did not get out of his gridded space at the start of this one.
Hinchcliffe, and he banged the wall with his right rear tire. And you can see it right here. He moved up, just boom, he hits it, and that took him out. And then here comes Ed with a big hit on.
Well, Hinch is done because the left rear looks like the left rear suspension is completely broken. Boy, Davey, we're fortunate that it was only 2 cars that made the slightest of contact.
Heard the radio transmission you never want to hear. That's your right rear tire is going down. It had lost 6 pounds of pressure, so he will drop to the back of the order. When you have a right rear that's going down and the team confirms it was not telemetry malfunction, this tire is in fact down. It's under yellow, but boy, he loses all that track position after getting the pole.
Green flag will come out. Will Power has control of the field, and for the first time, we are racing into turn number 1. Power will get there first, followed by Scott Dixon, Simon Pagenaud, and Simone Di Silvestro.
Scott Dixon has about a 2-car length deficit. A little bit further back, E.J. Viso was really tight with the 98 Barracuda Networks machine, but everybody got through safely.
Well, I tell you what, Davey, that was a nice pass there by E.J. Viso, the 18 car. Also,
my gosh,
getting a little bit squirrely there, but Viso made a very impressive pass. We have got our championship leader on pit lane with 13 laps complete.
And it doesn't sound like there's anything wrong with Helio Castroneves. This just appears for them to be taking a different strategy. Roger Penske on the pit box. The Penske crew go to work, and a good stop for the Shell V-powered Pennzoil car for Helio Castroneves.
Will Power has been in front since Takuma Sato had to drop off the track on lap number 9 after picking up some debris after the early incident between James Hinchcliffe, Tristan Vautier, and Ed Carpenter. All 3 of those cars right now sit behind the wall. Will Power is out in front of Scott Dixon. Simon Pagenaud is 3rd. Simone Di Silvestro is 4th, and E.J. Viso is 5th. Tony Kanaan, we're watching a replay where it looks like could be mechanical in nature as a puff of smoke from the rear end of the Hydroxy-Cut KV racing technology machine.
Penske guys are jumping over the wall, and Helio's making his way down pit lane. Helio pulls in, and he comes to a stop. They're going to shut the engine off and take the rear engine cowling off. They're looking at the back, maybe around the gearbox. But what a disastrous set of circumstances for Helio Castroneves.
Made the pass in the chicane around the 77 machine of Simon Pagenaud. And how about Simone Di Silvestro sliding up into the 3rd position? Mike, with all of this talk about Tony Kanaan and the future of KV racing, Simone Di Silvestro is telling her bosses, hey, don't forget about me, I can race too.
That is the Boy Scouts of America car of Justin Wilson trying to pull up on Oriol Serbia.
And they're having problems getting that car jacked. A really slow time getting that car the required 5 to 6 inches off the ground. So the 4 tire changers had to sit there and wait for that car to get in the air. They switched from reds to blacks, but a big mistake for Power, and Dixon will grab the lead leaving pit lane.
Underneath the Shell Bridge. As a matter of fact, Scott, back to you, Mark Jane. Scott Dixon through 6.
Dario Franchitti and Simone Di Silvestro went side by side through turn number 3. Dario couldn't hang on to it, didn't make much contact, if any. They spun around, and as we speak, Dario Franchitti is sitting dead still in the middle of the racetrack. That's going to bring out a full course caution in Houston.
as the green flag waves. Scott Dixon will lead Power into turn number 1 as they head to Mark James.
As you mentioned, Elio Castro-Neves is running several laps down, but he is third in that line. Dixon might have bumped the wall ever so slightly. Power is right there, drives right underneath the rear wing. Pagano loses a little momentum. Bourdais wants to go side by side. Things heating up as the leaders exit turn number 4 here in Houston.
Power battling at the front of the Izod IndyCar Series field. Coming out of turn number 5, Will Power looks to the inside before turn 6, tucks back in behind Scott Dixon. They are identical in speed. Dixon and Power in front of the field.
Boy, Davey, it looked like he had the edge there, and all of a sudden Scott Dixon drove away from him.
Sebastian Bourdais, who has been one of the real movers and shakers in this race, he also had a problem here at turn number 6. He had to go right into the runoff area. He was able to quickly turn it around, but valuable track space loss for Sebastian Bourdais. Nick Yeoman?
We got a full course caution. I believe that what was the word is. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep, that's correct. Oriol Servia comes to a stop.
We're on board with Servia right now in that National Guard car. See him coming through, no real issues right now, coming through turn 1. Heading on the brakes hard, coming into the
turn 2, the chicane.
Just go straight. Something happened on his downshift right there.
We see Newgarden. Yeah, Newgarden's going to get Sato. It looks like Sato might get him right back. Mark James, they head to you.
Sato right there to the bottom side of him is the 16 of Jake. Sato sticks to the tire barrier at the apex of turn number 3. Takuma Sato just ran out of room, put it in the tire barrier here at Houston, and a promising day for Takuma Sato and AJ Foyt Racing comes to a close against the tire barrier here in Houston.
But let's keep our eye on the 12 Verizon car of Will Power as he is making his final stop. They'll drop him off the jacks. Justin Wilson, who has had himself one heck of a day, is now shown third. Simon Pagano fourth.
No problem on the restart for the number 9 machine of Scott Dixon. As Simona Di Silvestro sees Justin Wilson all over her. Then it's the 67 machine of Joseph Newgarden. He wants a piece of that 77 car of Simon Pagano. Those two work off of turn number 4.
Scott Dixon will hope to run away and hide here through this very thick and humid Texas air in Houston.
The perfect scenario. I mean, you couldn't write it that way. Scott probably said, hey, all I can do is win.
We got a problem in turn number 9. It's the Sonny's Barbecue car of Mike Conway as he has found his way into the tire barrier.
108 degrees with the heat index. A guy named the Iceman is going to be the one it appears is not going to melt. And Scott Dixon right now, it appears as though he's going to have this one in hand.
He has erased 41 championship points from Elio's lead. Dixon is the winner in Houston. Di Silvestro for the first time on the podium, and Justin Wilson will fill the third spot as Dale Coyne Racing. Davey is back on the podium once again.